It begins in 1966 with an Australian fishing captain named Peter Warner. He was sailing through the vast, empty blue of the Pacific Ocean, past a place no one ever went, the island of Atta. A jagged piece of rock, long abandoned, considered uninhabitable. As Peter scanned the forbidding cliffs, he saw something that made him stop. Something impossible. He saw fire, a plume of smoke rising from the jungle. Then, through his binoculars, he saw something else, a figure, long-haired, wild, and naked, diving from a cliff into the water below. Who were these wild men on an island that was supposed to be empty? Were they dangerous criminals in hiding? Or were they something else entirely? Peter had no idea, but he cautiously steered his boat closer. He had just stumbled upon a secret that had been lost to the world for 15 long months. To understand what he found, we have to go back to the year 1965, in the island nation of Tonga. This is the story of 6 boys: Sione, Stephen, Kolo, David, Luke, and Mano. They were students at a strict Catholic boarding school, aged between 13 and 16, and they were bored. Tired of the school food, tired of the endless rules, they dreamed of adventure, of escaping their quiet lives for something more. So, they came up with a plan, a foolish, reckless plan born from teenage fantasy. They decided they would steal a small fishing boat and sail to Fiji, hundreds of miles away. It was a crazy idea, hatched with no map, no compass, and almost no food. They packed a few bananas, some coconuts, and a small gas burner. And that was it. One night they pushed a 24-foot boat into the water and slipped away from the shore, leaving their old lives behind. The adventure had begun, but their dream of adventure quickly turned into a nightmare. They fell asleep at the tiller and woke up to a terrifying reality. A vicious storm had descended upon them. The waves crashed over their tiny boat, snapping the mast and tearing their sail to shreds. The storm stole their rudder, leaving them powerless, a tiny speck adrift in the endless, violent ocean. For 8 terrifying days, they drifted. The current was their captain now. Their food and water were gone. They were weak, sunburnt, and beginning to lose hope. They prayed for a miracle. And then, on the 8th day, they saw it. Land. A small, mountainous island rising from the sea. It wasn't Fiji. They had no idea where they were. But it was land. With their last ounce of strength, they swam to shore, crawling onto the beach of this strange new world. They had survived the ocean, but a new question loomed over them. How would they survive this island? They didn't know it yet, but they were stranded on the deserted island of Atta, and they would be trapped here, completely cut off from the world, for the next 15 months. This is where the story should have turned dark. 6 teenage boys, alone, with no rules and no adults. They decided from day one that they would work together. They split the work into teams of 2. One team on garden duty, one on kitchen duty, and one on guard duty. They built a small hut from sticks and leaves. They scavenged for food, surviving at first on seabird eggs, fish, and the few coconuts they could find. They were resourceful. They managed to start a fire with 2 sticks, and they protected that flame for over a year, never letting it go out. One of the boys, Kolo, even made a makeshift guitar out of a piece of driftwood and steel wires from their wrecked boat, and he would play it to keep their spirits up. But despair was a constant enemy. Months went by. They had built a life, a tiny, functioning society. But as the seasons changed, a terrible thought crept in. What if no one was looking for them? What if everyone thought they were dead? Which brings us back to Captain Peter Warner and his fishing boat. As he got closer, the boys saw him. After 15 months of total isolation, they saw a ship. They jumped into the water and swam frantically towards it, shouting with all their might. The first boy to reach the boat was Stephen. He climbed aboard and said, "We are 6 boys, and we think we have been here for 15 months." Peter was stunned. He radioed back to the capital of Tonga. The operator's response was one of pure shock, his voice filled with emotion. "You found them. These boys were declared dead. Funerals have been held. If it's them, this is a miracle." It was them. They were alive. The rescue of the 6 boys became a global sensation. They returned home not as delinquents who stole a boat, but as heroes. Their story was a testament to faith, friendship, and incredible human resilience. But their ordeal wasn't quite over. The man whose boat they had stolen pressed charges against them. For a moment, it seemed they had survived an impossible island, only to end up in jail. But when Captain Peter Warner heard this, he stepped in. He bought the boat owner a new vessel and secured the boys' freedom by hiring them as the crew for his own ship. Their story became a legend, a real-life example that stands in stark contrast to fiction. It proves that human nature, when faced with the ultimate test, isn't always about turning on each other. Sometimes it's about coming together, keeping the fire lit, and never, ever giving up hope.